morning, I'm Agustín Zepeda for NewZtar Intelligence. Here is your global briefing for Thursday, May 28, 2026. The United States has conducted a second round of strikes against Iranian targets in 3 days, even as a tentative 60-day peace framework awaits President Trump's approval. New sanctions target the Iranian agency controlling Strait of Hormuz shipping. Sources indicate Trump must decide imminently whether to accept the diplomatic deal or continue military escalation. But here is where the coverage diverges. American media emphasize conflict over diplomacy, framing talks as doubtful. Indian media present the peace framework as an imminent breakthrough. Chinese outlets focus analytically on Trump as the decision variable. Russian and Chinese state media are completely ignoring the military strikes. The Federal Reserve's preferred inflation gauge shows prices at their highest level in nearly 3 years, eroding American incomes and spending power. Households are approaching the financial edge as grocery bills, rent and gas consume larger portions of paychecks. This surge comes amid geopolitical tensions and questions about economic policy. But here is where the coverage diverges. American left-leaning media emphasize household financial fragility and attribute this to Trump policies. Middle Eastern outlets link the surge directly to Iran tensions and geopolitical instability. American right-leaning media are barely covering this story at all, a striking omission given the economic impact. The Department of Justice has launched a criminal investigation into E. Jean Carroll, who previously won civil cases against President Trump for defamation and sexual abuse claims. This dramatic reversal places the accuser under criminal scrutiny, though the legal basis for the investigation remains sealed. The move signals a significant shift in how accusers of powerful figures may be treated. But here is where the coverage diverges. American left-leaning outlets report this factually with shocked tone, while American right-leaning media frame it as vindication and focus on democratic reactions. European and international media are completely ignoring this story, suggesting it's seen as domestic political theater rather than legitimate legal development. Major fallout continues from the Dominion Fox News defamation settlement, as new legal challenges emerge over the agreement's implementation. The case, which centered on false election claims, is generating fresh tensions that could reshape media liability standards. Details suggest disputes over settlement terms and enforcement mechanisms. But here is where the coverage diverges. American outlets are treating this as significant legal development with media liability implications. European media frame it as continued American election litigation chaos. Russian and Chinese state media show zero interest, viewing it as internal American media conflict with no international relevance. Escalating tensions over federal voting procedures are emerging as a major battleground for the 2026 and 2028 election cycles. Disputes center on ballot access, verification requirements, and federal versus state control of election administration. Both parties are positioning these procedural fights as critical to election integrity and voter access. But here is where the coverage diverges. American left-leaning media frame this as voter suppression efforts threatening access. American right-leaning outlets present it as necessary election security measures. European media view it as continued American democratic instability. Russian state media amplify the divisions as evidence of systemic American electoral dysfunction. Iowa farmers are facing significant economic pressures as agricultural markets shift and input costs remain elevated. The rural economic strain is becoming a political flashpoint ahead of the 2026 midterms, with farm income declining despite commodity price volatility. Agricultural communities report increasing financial stress and uncertainty about long-term viability. But here is where the coverage diverges. American left-leaning media explicitly attribute farm struggles to Trump economic policies. American right-leaning outlets frame it as global market forces beyond presidential control. European and international media largely ignore American agricultural economics unless it affects global food supply chains. That is your NewZtar Intelligence briefing for Thursday, May 28, 2026. News in every angle, every morning. I'm Agustín Zepeda. Stay informed.